Okay, so here we're going to be continuing on our certification test prep questions. Okay, so again, from here and on out, this is your study guide to practice what's going to be on the exam. But also, you guys will be also given 30 practice exams through Certiport, which I will provide the link and the access code to all of you guys sometime within the next 2 or 3 weeks, depending on how fast Casey replies back. Okay, for the previous class, she didn't reply back to me until 2 weeks later. So just there's no holidays going on, but she's very busy. So anyways, with that being said, you guys will all get practice exams with the access code, and in the email, we'll give you the directions on how to access the code. So now that Certiport has made it more easily available by making the practice exams available online. So yes. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first is how to keep the lists and preferences from old files while removing every single transaction. So we just learned this yesterday. Do you guys remember what it's called? It's one of the last, not memorized. It's one of the last things that we touched upon in chapter. Actually, no, I lied. It was last thing I did for part 1 from chapter 13 is when it's right when I cut off. I don't know if that's gonna help you. What was that? Condense. Good. Now, how do I get to the condensed data? File where?
File on the menu.
File on the menu bar.
Yep.
Where do you see condense?
My notice went to file and then condense immediately. So
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. Restore.
No. Why would you restore a file if you're trying to get rid of all the transactions but keep its lists? You're in the right area.
I have my arrow condense immediately, and I don't see a condense there. So I'm sorry. Open and restore.
Is it utilities?
No.
Utilities.
Yeah.
And then you can condense your data. Okay. All right. So this,
Down there, I see it.
yes, yes.
Rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, yes, so that's how you do that. So that one's more geared towards when you're finally completing your whole adjustments entries. You've completed closing out your books. And the last thing that you have to do is instead of having all your data file cluttering up your workspace, you can save your file or create a backup file and then go ahead and safely delete all the existing transactions, but still keep your lists of your people, So you keeping your customer list, keeping your items list, keeping your preferences for your windows. So this is very important, especially when you're dealing with the closing chapters, when you're closing out the accounting period. Again, you don't. This is meant so then it helps you keep your file not so heavy, because again, as you keep entering more and more and more information and making the file more and more dense, then more possibilities of crashing, especially if you have multiple users using the file. You want to make sure that that you don't that you want to make sure that it doesn't crash on you all the time and that it's easily feasible. So this one is going to be file on the menu bar. Then you're going to go to utilities and then condensed data. Okay. All right, let's see which section is next, or which question is next. Okay, so we did a pretty good job filling out a majority of this. So I believe we only have like a few questions and then a couple sections that we skipped out. So this section here where we talk about purchases. So this was all chapter 8, making purchases of inventory. So let's go ahead and get started, fill this part out here. So question number 1 is a student should know who should be listed in the vendor's center. Who should be a vendor?
Your supplier.
Yes, any suppliers. Subcontractors. Or you can also, they could be also referred, subcontractors could also be referred as your 1099 people. Yes. Anybody that provides a service for you. Okay? Suppliers, subcontractors, and anybody that, okay, let me write, any person that provides a service to you. Such as a landlord, they provide rent to you. Okay, so yes, all those people are going to be considered people that you should know to be under your vendor list. Okay, all right. This one says how to navigate and use the vendor center. Pretty straightforward. If you so I'm just going to write similar to customer center. Okay. So this one, when you're dealing with a vendor, okay, what typically are the transactions that will be dealt with when you're dealing with a vendor?
Purchase orders,
Yeah, you got your purchase orders. What else?
receiving inventory.
Slash.
Bills.
Yes, bills. Good. Bills. Entering bills. What else?
Paying bills.
Bill payments. Okay. All right. Good. All right. The next question says the different workflows for making purchases. So we talked about entering and paying bills, which is accounts payable. We also talked about how to write a check. So understand the difference when you're writing a check versus paying a bill off using bill payment. And then you can also use a credit card to do that and use a debit card. So debit card transactions, if you guys remember, it's just the same as writing a check or going directly into the check register. And instead of saying, writing a check number down, you write debit. Okay. But understanding this workflow right here, like what happens when you enter in a bill? You need to do bill payment in order to pay off the bill or to reduce your accounts payable. But let's say you are just doing a you're paying off an expense that doesn't have a bill, then you can go ahead and either use the write a checks option, or you can actually physically write a check, or you can use a credit card transaction to pay the vendor. So those ones are for if you're not getting billed, you can use that as a daily expense that you encounter. Okay. Let me see what else is next. Okay, so pretty much just understand how to enter a bill, right? Know the 7 ways to enter in a bill. Also know let me see, I think there's 1, 2, the 2 ways or 3 ways that you can write a check. Also the ways to enter in a credit card transaction, and then using a debit card. So making sure that you know how those ways and how they are entered in. Okay. Next question here is how to record a transaction in the purchases workflow. So again, this one has 2 trails. Okay. Let me go ahead and push this forward so we can answer this thoroughly. So let's look at the workflow again at the top of our window. If we're going to start off by making purchases of inventory, right? What do we have to start off with? You have to start off with the purchase order. So that's always going to be number 1. Okay. They recommend you to do it this way, so you don't have to adjust the inventory at any given time. Now, what happens when you've completed your purchase order and you receive your items? You have 2 ways to enter them in. What are the 2 ways?
The with and without a bill.
Correct. So with a bill and without a bill. Okay, now what happens when you actually receive inventories with the bill?
Then you will enter against the inventory.
No.
With the bill, it's all done.
Perfect. You're just going to enter in directly the bill.
Right.
Okay. Now, let's go talk about what happens when you enter it, when you receive it without a bill. What happens when you receive it without a bill?
That's when you would receive the stuff, but then you would enter it against the bill once you got it.
Correct. Now, what form do you actually what form do you actually get?
The receive inventory, and then you select the down arrow and select the receive inventory without bill.
Okay. Let me ask this question again. So, when you enter in when you receive the bill with a bill, it becomes a bill form. What type of form do you actually receive? What are you going to be entering in?
Inventory.
An item receipt.
An item receipt. There you go. So here you go. So when you receive items without a bill, or receive inventory without a bill, you're going to be entering an item receipt. Okay? And once you get your item receipt, the next step is now you have to go ahead and receive inventory against. Wait, no, you're going to be entering a bill against. What does it say?
Enter bills against inventory.
Yeah, enter bills against inventory. Yes, enter bills against inventory. Okay, and what happens here is you're going to take your sales receipt, and what happens is it converts into, your items receipt, not sales receipt, items receipt, right? And you're going to convert them into a bill. Okay, so usually what happens when you enter in inventory without a bill, you get what's called a packaging slip. Okay, so that's very important that you have a packaging slip because it has the invoice number on it, and it also lets you know how many packages are coming or how many are divided, but also it gives you the details on that exact packaging slip, meaning how many orders are currently in this slip and how many the packaging slip number, which is important for you to enter in for your item receipt. Okay, so make sure that you understand that. All right, good. And then of course, when you enter a bill against inventory, you're converting the item receipt into a bill. Good. Okay. How and why to record a vendor credit?
Well, how is enter bills tab on the home page. And then up top you see the bill, or you can click to credit.
Good. Enter bill, then select credit. Good.
And why would be either a return, an overpayment, anything that we would do a credit for.
Mm-hmm. So, but remember, this is for a vendor standpoint. This is usually when you return products to a vendor, or if you overpay.
Anything, right, that's what it said. We return the item to the vendor
Mm-hmm.
or overpay.
Overpaid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that I'm repeating what you're saying. Return
Return
inventory / purchases. And overpaying vendor, or you could overpay the vendor, cancellation. Good. And also if you want a discount.
All right.
Discounts. Okay. Good. All right. Make sure you know this isn't the only way to enter in a credit. I believe there's one more if you go into the actual vendor itself. You might be able to do it. No, you might have to right click it, and you might be able to enter credit card transactions. Customer.
We'll let you get enter bills there.
Okay.
Then you look for the place to retrieve it.
Yes, but then no, there is also another way that isn't there. Let me see. Receive items in inventory, purchases. Okay, yep, that's right. So you go to any place in order to go to an enter bills section, and then you'd be able to. Oh, that was weird. I wanted to enter in a bill, and it popped up my bill tracker. So you go enter bills, and right here you have a little option to do the credit. So any way that you can do it, doesn't have to be on the home page. As long as you get to the enter the bill form, then you'd be able to pop over and click that credit right there. Okay, good. All right. And good. Now let's go ahead and look at the next question here. How to complete the inventory workflow from purchase orders to payments. Okay, we already looked at that, which is right here. The how or the why. Actually, no, I'm sorry. This part up here pretty much covers this inventory workflow right here. Okay. All right, next question says how to set up, collect, and pay sales tax. Okay, so this is part of chapter 2.
We would set up, well, let's see, set up sales tax, you can do edit, preferences, go to sales tax.
Edit, preferences, and then you're going to go to sales tax, and go to company. Now, this is just to turn it on.
Not the amount, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then,
Let's see.
let's see here, chart of accounts.
Chart of accounts. Sales tax payable. That is an account, but how do you apply it on an invoice? How are you supposed to charge your customers tax on an invoice?
Vendor.
That's not what we were just looking at?
Well, we're talking about setting up the sales tax, right? Technically, that's the account that exists there, but when you're making a sales form, you can't actually use an account.
Is it under list,
List.
sales tax code list?
That is just creating sales tax codes for example, like certain things are taxable and certain things are not taxable. So such as any items are taxable, but food is non-taxable. That's all that's setting up the codes for.
So then it's just gonna be our item list.
Yes, correct.
And then
It's
we're gonna go through and we're gonna pick
correct.
what county or whatever, put our description in for sales tax.
Correct.
Sales tax for our type.
Correct. So when we go here, you're going to go create a new item. And one of the options that you have is to create a sales tax item. Yes, that's how you, to set it up is just to, or activate it. I guess, I'll give you a credit point for that one, Robin, because yes, that's how you activate that you do charge sales tax, is through the edit preferences. And of course you can also, yeah.
The item, right?
No, not percentage to the item because the percentage you have to set that up depending where you are.
Right,
But
what I mean, when you wanna set up the 8.25%, you have to do that in the item.
yes, correct. To set it up, it's just basically saying, well, how are you? Do you charge sales tax? And if you do, then what are the necessary things that you need to create? And it should create the chart of accounts for you when you select, yes, I charge sales tax. So in this case, to set it up is basically setting up how, like, which agency you're making payments to. That's the setup part. But to actually charge the item is going to be through the items list. Okay, so setting up only allows you to make associations to which vendor that you owe or agency that you owe the sales tax to. So I'm going to put here set up is going to be edit, edit on the menu bar, preferences, and then sales tax. Okay, so this is to what do you call it? To activate sales tax. and to set up payments slash agencies. Okay. In order to charge the sales tax or collect it, right? So when we collect our sales tax, how do we collect it? By charging, by creating a sales tax item. Okay. So when we create the sales tax item, every time we use it, we're essentially collecting the items. Okay. And how we pay for it is going to be going through, if you just saw what I just did, we're going to go onto the home page and it says right here, manage sales tax. And this is actually how you go ahead and pay it. Okay, you can make you could check out your sales tax liabilities and make a payment to your sales tax. Okay, you can make adjustments and change them, change the coding if you'd like, view the sales tax items, right? But this is how you actually make payments, is by using this little section right here, and it says pay your sales tax. So again, that's going to be manage sales tax on your home page. Let me see if it's on the vendor menu list under sales tax. Yes, you can pay your sales tax on the menu bar as well. Okay, so let me make a note here. When you are paying, you're going to go either on the home page, manage sales tax, or you have the menu bar. Under vendors, under sales tax, and then you have pay sales tax. Okay. So how to set it up or activate the sales tax item is through your home page. Yes. Okay. In order to collect it, you need to create a sales tax item based on your city and your state. Okay. And even if it's out of state, then you need to follow their rules because they're paying the out of state tax. And then last thing here is in order to pay it, you're going to do the manage sales tax on the home page, or you can do the menu bar vendors and you can select to pay the sales tax that way. Okay. Lastly, we're going to talk about bank reconciliations. So I'm going to push this forward so you can see it better. So bank reconciliation. How do you create a bank reconciliation?
First, you can go to the Reconcile tab on the home page near the banking section.
Correct. Okay, so again, you can reconcile as many accounts as you like. I believe you could do only permanent accounts. So any asset, any liability, and any equity. You can't do reconciliations for expenses or income. Weird, but you can't do it. So yes. So you're going to click the home page on the home page. Reconcile, or you could do the menu bar. Banking, yeah, under menu bar. And then select reconcile. Make sure that you select the correct account that you are trying to reconcile. And then the first thing that you usually should have is a copy. Okay, so let me write under here. Actually, let me do this again. So that's how you get there. And then so things that you need to know is you need to have a copy of the statement that you're reconciling for. Oh wait, statements of the accounts you are reconciling. Okay. First rule of thumb is that step one is you need to you need to make sure that the beginning balance okay matches the beginning balance in your statement. Is it beginning balance on statement? Okay, before you can start anything, because if you don't have, if they do not match, you need to find that where that discrepancy is, and you need to clear that out and make sure you keep that intact to make sure that your numbers do balance in the very beginning before starting your reconciliation. Okay. Good, good. All right. Next section we have here is going to be payroll. So let me go ahead and unhighlight this real quick. Wrong one. There you go. Okay. Let me fix that too. Okay, so I'm going to unhighlight it. So first thing that a student should know is that this is chapter 10 and 11. All right, so first thing is the difference between the payroll services that are available on QuickBooks. So again, in your book, there are 3 different types of services for payroll. Okay. Your book is different. Okay. I'm on one where I already activated my payroll services. So can you guys remember? It's the first page on chapter 10.
Sorry, I'm still getting there.
That's fine. I'm getting there too. It talks about it right here on the very first page.
Checklist for setting up, checklist for setting up payroll?
No, it's before that.
No. There it is.
The section right before that. Okay, so they used to let me highlight this, but now it won't let me. There you go. No, there you go.
Well, we have the 3 choices for
Mm-hmm.
using
Mm-hmm.
track your payroll, basic, enhanced, and full service.
Correct. Basic, enhanced, and full service. Okay, so make sure you guys understand the difference between them. I mean, the real thing that you should know is just like how much it will process your payroll for. As you know, for the more full service, you get to file forms. That's like the most important thing. But as you can see, the basic and the enhanced, it's all depending on how many employees you have. Okay, just know that if you have 20 employees, basic should be enough for you. Enhance is for anywhere that's more than 20 employees, and of course, full services allows you to not only process your payroll for your employees, it also allows you to process your paperwork and file it to IRS. So make sure that you, when you open up any other file, go ahead and try looking at the employees menu bar and go ahead and check out the payroll services information. I'm using chapter 11 right now, so my payroll services is on. So in case we have to do some payroll example. Okay, so make sure that you know the difference between the three different payrolls. So I'm going to write basic, enhanced, and for you guys, it's full service. Okay. All right. Next question says that how to set up payroll, okay, including employees, federal and state taxes, and basic payroll deductions using the payroll setup wizard. So under that, it breaks it down to how to set up an employee's earnings and sick and vacation time, how to track sick or vacation time, accruing the hours, etc., etc. So again, this is going to be all in the 10 steps of setting payroll up. So that is, I believe it's the next page on this one. So it's page 292. So first things first is, obviously, in order to set up any of these things, you need to have an idea of what you're expected to pay. So remember, we talked about the 4 categories, okay? So I'm going to type it in here. 4 categories. Okay? First one is talking about the company setup. Company setup is where you do all of your compensations, okay? And all your benefits, such as, if you provide Medicare or medical insurance, benefits, any deductions, such as if you have fringe benefits, those deductions, all right? 401k plans are going to be considered deductions, and it's actually a part benefit / deduction. Okay, and then on any other compensations or any other deductions, such as counting if you pay for holiday pay, sick pay, so any other special compensations. Sick pay, vacation pay, etc., okay? Then the next section after that is going to be setting up your employees, okay? So we talked about this. You need to get their W-4 form, because setting up employees, because that's going to give you their full legal name. It's going to give you their social security number. If they are if they have a visa or a working visa and they're not an American citizen, then you need that permit, that number that the Social Security provides to them to get them a working permit. You need to get all of that information, and all of that is going to be founded on the W-4 form. Okay, their birthday, obviously that's going to be something that you need to find on their birth certificate if you require it. But general information, W-4 form is usually in one is a form. So W-4 form. You also need a birth certificate, or some kind of form of ID. So if you require a state ID, you may need their information off of that. Okay, and that also entails on how you're going to pay them as well, and how you're going to tax them, because the W-4 form, well, now the 2020 to 2021 W-4 form is a little different. They go by the amount of withholdings you're taking per year, versus counting the number of withholdings you claim. So different rules, different everything, but for now, you need the W-4 form to grab the information that you need to, in order to know how much you're being taxed and how much they're claiming and what, and so on and so forth. Okay. Then the next section, yes.
For forms
Mhm.
needed when for from the from the applicant or setting up an employee, the company or HR normally asks their social security card.
Yeah,
Birth
but
certificate is not birth certificate. It's not necessary because the social security would basically
Take the
more
place.
acceptable take place of the birth certificate,
yeah, okay.
unless
The
you are unsure of the birth date from the applicant, from the employee.
okay, I just put that as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of places they if you are applying and you're applying, they require your birth certificate to validate that you are an American citizen. A social security card does not validate whether you're an American citizen because anybody can get it.
No, because on the social security,
Not true.
say if you are authorized to work, if you are from another country and you're authorized, it would state on the social security card itself. It says authorized to work. Otherwise, it will just be plain social security number
You can't get a social security card without a
without the
birth.
birth certificate. Yes.
So it's not the other way around. You can never get a real social security card without presenting your birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So just so you know, I'm good with your example.
Okay, cause okay, I mean, I've heard many other stories because I know that for those who have green cards,
Correct.
they 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 they
Know
they
that too.
they can get a temporary social security card.
And it would state such, and it would probably
It
be
would
different.
state
Exactly, but that doesn't tell them that they are a legal U.S. citizen.
Right.
yes.
So that's why I'm saying birth certificate could be one of those things that your company may require. Social security identification cards, whatever it is, your W-4 form, whatever form of information. I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna type everything out. It's just this is example. So if it goes beyond that, then you guys, you know,
You'll figure it out then.
you'll figure it out then. Yeah, if they're a 1099 worker or whatever, then it's a completely different form, obviously. So yeah, so it's just extra information. I'm not gonna type in there. You guys know what is expected. Okay, so setting up employees is going to involve all those paperwork in order to fill in their information. Okay, the W-4 form is very, very important, especially when they're being taxed. Okay, especially when they're claiming they want to hold on to more money and they don't want to be subject to be taxed full 100%. That's what the W-4 form is really mostly important. Okay, let me see what else there is. Then the next step after that is setting up the taxes. Okay, so setting up state and federal taxes. So let me write state and federal. So again, especially with QuickBooks is very, very intelligent. You type in that if this person resides in California, automatically it's going to pull in all the California taxes and it's going to look it up based on their area code as well. But make sure that if you are the person whose the store is in a specific location, you may be subject to local taxes as well. So making sure that when you do that, especially when you start setting up your business itself, the first thing they're going to ask you is where's your business located, and they're going to use the internet to access and pull all this information, so you don't actually have to physically look it up itself. However, the only thing that you have to do is make sure which agencies exist for you to make your payments to, because they will not find out for you. a number one place to go to is to seek a professional consultant at the wherever you file your taxes from, and they will tell you which agencies you need to make payments to. But for setting up the taxes for it, QuickBooks will automatically pull the information. Such as California, right? You not only are you subject to California withholding tax, you're also subject to the disability act or something that they have to tax you for. Okay, so there's more than just federal and whatever state is accordingly. So not only are you setting up both employees, federal and state taxes, you're also doing your company's state taxes as well. So setting up unemployment. So remember, your employees do not pay for unemployment. The company does. So make sure you understand that as well. And other deductions too can also be something that you may need to add, such as workers' comp. Workers' compensation is not a deductible from their paycheck. It's what your company is responsible to pay for as a separate tax. All right, for whatever agency that they file for the lawsuit for, the lawsuit protection is going to be whatever agency that they're making payments to. So make sure you understand that. Okay, and then lastly, you're going to be setting up any year-to-date balances. So if you are doing payroll and using the payroll services in the middle of your pay period or in the middle of the year, you're going to need to do your year-to-date balances. Okay, so that's the whole setup right there. Okay. All right. Now the next question here is how and why to set up payroll schedules. So we talked about what the payroll scheduler does, but, or I guess we can talk about that now. Why is it important to,
I said, I know we did, I just don't remember.
That's okay. I'll give you a hint. When we go to the employee center, we go to the payroll center. This right here is your payroll scheduler. What does it do?
It shows who your employees are and a list of your employees
That is the employee center.
and their corresponding deductibles and things like that, both from the benefits.
No, that's your payroll items. What does your payroll scheduler do? Okay, so I'll go ahead and just talk about it just because.
When it's
Is
time
it
to pay
because
them.
of your schedule, because you pay every 2 weeks,
Yes.
and this person is always going to be salary, and this person is always hourly?
Correct.
They're
Correct.
So that you don't have to do that every single time.
Exactly. So basically, it reminds you, okay? So basically, I mean, no, it doesn't remind you. It gives you a list basically of who to pay. So who to pay, right? And using the scheduler allows you to make payments to people who are on a biweekly schedule, a daily schedule, or a different payroll schedule. Like if a salary earns their money every 2 months, 2 paychecks a month, so on the 16th and then 30th of the month, and then you have your hourly that gets paid every biweekly. So the difference between them is 2 paychecks, right? One gets 24 paychecks, the other gets 26 paychecks. So with that being said, that's what you use the payroll scheduler for, to make sure to keep yourself organized and make those payments to the people that you need to make payments to according to their payroll schedule. So you don't have to conform and say, oh, everyone is salary and everyone that's wage-based, you're all going to get paid on Friday. No, you don't need to conform to that. Or you don't need to put everyone on the same schedule. It's for people who to pay for employees on different pay schedules. That's all it is. Pretty straightforward. Schedules. Okay. All right. How to run payroll. Pretty straightforward. How do you pay your employees? With this is the assumption that you are. I'm gonna put it right here.
Direct deposit.
Assume.
Under the employee tab, you go to pay employees.
Assuming using a payroll using payroll services. All right, so you said
Any of it.
under employee center.
You can do where the employees area is on the homepage. It's pay employees.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah. So you have the little section here on the homepage where you can pay your employees. Where else?
Menu bar. On the menu.
Menu bar. Good. Now, where does this
Icon.
the icon bar? It's going to take you to your employee center, but where do you go when you're in your employee center?
Well, I don't have the payroll tab for some reason, but you have to go there.
Yes, the payroll tab. It's because you're using a file that doesn't have the payroll service.
Yeah, I don't have that, so I have to look at yours.
Okay, so yes, the most important thing is you need to get to the payroll services tab, right? And then you can go ahead and pay your employees. That's the most important thing. If you don't have it, then it's not going to exist. Okay, but yes, you do have that little pay employees tab on your homepage. But even if you clicked it, it's going to tell you need to sign up for a payroll services. So again, if you're doing manually, you're going to have to punch in every information into your timesheet and just write a check. There's no actual there's no actual form or thing that you have to fill out. You have to do it manually. Okay, you have to manually write a paycheck. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm gonna go ahead and type in here, run payroll, pay employees on homepage. Okay, how to run employees, that's pretty much how you do it. You just pay your employees. All right, how to run pay, oh, I hit the wrong one. I've typed it in the wrong section here. Okay. Okay, so now the next question is how and why to pay payroll liabilities.
So payroll liabilities also is on the homepage, on the portion in the employees section down there. It says pay liabilities, and if it has the red exclamation mark or whatever, there's something to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Click on that, and it would tell you.
So yes, it's the same things, the same steps as doing the pay employees, right? If you get to the payroll center, you have the pay liabilities option. Whoop, I hit the wrong one. Okay, so you're gonna hit pay liabilities, and then that's how you pay it. So they make it a lot more easier for you. You could also click the pay liabilities window on the home page, right? But remember, if you don't have the payroll services, it will just keep asking you. You need to pay for it. Okay, so again, when you do manual payroll, you're actually going to list it out on the check itself. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back here and say how and why to pay your payroll liabilities. Well, first off, it's money you don't owe. Okay, so why? We talked about the how, right?
Well, why? Because you do owe it, in a sense, to
the government.
You took it out of their
To the state.
paycheck, now you have to pay it.
Yes. Okay, so pay liabilities. Yes, you need to. It's part of your responsibility. You can't hold on to that extra money. It's your responsibility that you have to pay for having employees, right? Your responsibility for having employees. Okay, good. All right, two more questions. How to prepare payroll forms. Okay, so Form 940 and W-2 forms in QuickBooks. Again, we couldn't access that section because we need to pay for the a more expensive form of the whatchamacallit, payroll services. So your book doesn't really talk too much about it, but it's pretty straightforward, right? If you're going to prepare it, it's straightforward. Okay, it's just a list of all of the taxes that you owe and all your payments that you actually make. So your 941 is going to validate all your checks that you paid, and basically it's going to be an audit trail to make sure that you kept up with your payments and that you didn't miss a payment, and so on and so forth. So how to process it, again, you need the full service in order to process it on QuickBooks. So just know that you need full service to file forms. Okay, just something that you need to know. But it is going to be part of your payroll center. So just know that when you go into your payroll center, you have those three tabs. So you have your pay employees tab, you have your pay liabilities, and you have your file forms. And every time I click it, it's gonna keep telling me this, that you must download the latest blah blah blah. Okay, we're gonna click OK. So again, the book doesn't really tell you on how to do it, but it's straightforward. If you prefer to manually fill out your form through the IRS, then this job is pretty much done with you and your tax accountant. Again, if you pay for the full services, QuickBooks does it for you, and all you have to do is just give your tax accountant this file, and that's it. It does it for you and submits it for you. Okay. And then last question here is tracking time and using it for payroll or for invoicing customers. So we talked about this. This was chapter 9. Okay.
And you can enter the time on the homepage there.
Correct. Enter time.
Weekly timesheet.
Weekly timesheet. Good.
Select the employee, the service item, and everything thereafter in those categories.
Good. So
Or not associated with an invoice.
perfect. If it is associated with an invoice, then it's a custom job, as in like this is a job that we're passing the bill along to whoever is responsible for that job, which is the customer itself. So the customer has to pay for them, but it's basically it's a reimbursable payment because we pay them already through their paycheck. The customer just pays them through their bill or their invoice. So yes, good. Good. All right, let's see. I think a few more. Let me see. I think that, yeah. We have 2 more questions and 3 more. And then we'll call break. So it's almost 2:40. So, okay, so now next is how and why to set closing dates. What's the most important thing about closing a date or choosing a closing date?
Choose the closing date, and that way nobody can make changes to anything prior to that date, so that it messes up all your reports.
Mm-hmm. So what do we call that?
So, um, so the, oh shoot,
Locks it, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so and so you have to have a password for it, and the admin is the only one that is able to do this. So entering, preventing from entering new transactions / modifying transactions, and what it does is it locks the file up. Okay, good. And you need to set a password. All right, good. Next question here says how to enter a journal entry, and if asked to do so by an accountant. Okay, so first off, let's talk about how, and then we'll talk about why. So, how do you enter in a general journal?
It's under your chart of accounts.
Okay, that's one way you can enter it in if you're going to enter it in that way.
Um,
But if you're going to use your chart of accounts, that one is technically more so if you are modifying or making sure that the journal is there. Okay, so how do you actually create the general journal? There's only one spot and one spot only.
Is that list there? Is there a journal entry?
Not list. Okay, so you're talking about the chart of accounts. The chart of account, like I said, this one is to ensure a journal entry has been entered
Okay.
and to
It's
modify
for
it.
accountants,
Accountant. Okay, so
and then it says make general journal entries.
okay, so you guys have an extra tab here. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it's not company, it's accountant. Or do you actually have cap?
I was looking in company too, just to see if I can find it.
You can do it in both.
Perfect. Okay, so you guys have an extra tab called accountant. Mine is just company. But you can go to company and you can make your general journal entry here. Okay, or where does it say make general? Oh, wait, no. Make general journal right here. So this is how you create it, all right? And we use the journal entries account so we can keep record of it, or if we need to fix it, modify it. Because if you just only enter your journal transactions here, how do you know the journal entry went through? You would only be able to tell by looking at the actual accounts you used. So that we talked about this yesterday too. Is that the reason why we have a journals entry is so it keeps track of it. Okay. But yes, in order to create it, you go to your company on your menu bar and you click make general journal entry. Okay. And then the next question is why? Why do you need to create general journals? What's this?
Accurate records.
What's the sole purpose of you using it? Now, keeping track of accurate records, that's very vague. Adjustments, good,
Adjustments.
good,
The year-end report.
good, good. What else?
Balancing debit credit. Make sure everything is
Right.
zero. Debit is equal to credit. You know,
Okay.
0, 0.
Okay, I'm not going to accept that answer, but that is something that you need to ensure in order to enter in the journal. Okay, so why? Okay, we talked about making adjustment entries. Good. Okay, adjustment entries, right? It's also for us to recategorize in case we made a mistake. Okay, this is for also using prepaid accounts. right? We need to allocate them, right? For rent, you need to do non-cash transactions such as depreciation. Okay. All right, and then
Use it
last,
for recategorizing too.
yes, recategorizing is the second thing I said on here. Good,
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry.
good.
We're following the steps from 6 to 10.
No worries. Good. All right. And then lastly, how and why do we memorize transactions?
Memorize tab, where is it?
They're
Under lists,
okay, that's
already, that's after you put the word.
exactly. Good. Well, first off, let's first talk about why. Why do we memorize our reports?
Well, because you're using it the same thing every month, or
Correct.
every week, or
To keep track.
quarterly, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I
To
used to use sort of the same invoices. We had rental customers that had the same equipment every single month. Their bill was the same, so I memorized their invoices every single month.
good. To enter a bill slash invoice that is repeating. Okay. Now, oftentimes we do this to make it easier for us so that we don't have to enter the same information over and over and over again. It just is already done. So, yes. So it saves time. Now, how? Let's talk about the how, and then we can go take a break.
First,
Well,
you have to create a bill.
right, or an invoice.
Say
Or
that
an
again.
invoice, yeah. So you
You,
put your information in, your
you,
standard information.
okay. You need to create a bill slash invoice and fill information, and then what do you do then?
You select the memorized tab that's above.
Good. Then
Select the
then
name, or like the name. I can't remember if it pops up. I'm doing this on my phone right now. But then you
It
select
says, the
which
button says
tab for it.
memorize. It
mhm.
says memorize.
No, I mean, once you select the memorize, the box comes up and it says
Mhm.
name field. This is blank,
Mhm.
and the bill name.
Mhm.
And
And
then
then if yeah, correct.
remind me, automate this transaction, whatever it applies to, whatever you want it to.
Mhm. Mhm. So good. That's how you do it. Great. All right. So that's it for the entire thing. So again, this is again to use for yourself as a study guide to because these are things that you could possibly see on the exam. So making sure that you understand every single piece and know the ins and outs and knows every single direction on how to get there. Okay. So it is 2:40 right now. So we're gonna call break and be back by 3 o'clock. So Michelle, you may go, and I'll see you guys back at 3 to
All
do the
right.
practice exam.